All right, guys, what's going on? Colts Nation, welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. So, guys, we're rounding out our look at some of the internal key free agents for the Indianapolis Colts by talking about guard Will Fries, seventh round pick in 2021. And Derek, he's been a starter now for the last couple years. And actually, last year was rated as the fourth best guard in football before he had his season cut short due to a broken tibia in week number 5. But again, he is only 26 years old. He is an ascending player. So, what are your thoughts here on Will Fries? Colts don't really have, outside of Will Fries, an answer at right guard at the current time. So, what are your thoughts there on Will Fries at right guard for the Indianapolis Colts? Does it make sense? Would you bring him back? What's the fit? All that kind of stuff.
Well, I can certainly, when I think back on Will Fries, I can certainly see how somebody like Zach Hicks would be super happy about Will Fries because he was pounding the table that the Indianapolis Colts struck gold with getting Will Fries in the 7th round when he had him as a 4th rounder. And you look at Will Fries now and what he's been able to do, never really played much of right guard in college, kind of moved over as the 2022 season kind of unfolded, because you saw how bad the right guard position was. And then Will Fries took over from there. And like you said, over the last 2 years has, been a guy that has been pretty consistent, outside of the one major injury that he had this last season, has never really had any other injury problems. Start of his career certainly was a tiny bit rocky, but like you said, going into that injury last year, he was one of, if not the best guards in all of the National Football League. So it goes to show you just how tremendous of an improvement he has shown over the span of all of this. He's a very solid run blocker, pretty good at pass pro. Has never really been elite at either one, but has just always been really good at the others. We used to always say that, Cody, that Will Fries was your weakest link. And if your weakest link was a above average to good right guard, then you're doing something really well on your offensive line. And, that's what he's been. He's been a good player. And I totally expect that his number will be relatively decent. I am very curious on if the Indianapolis Colts will be the highest bidder for Will Fries. I was talking with the guys with One Bar was asking me about Will Fries because apparently the Minnesota Vikings have potentially been linked to Will Fries. That would be very interesting. I definitely think his market will be relatively high. The ultimate question is, where is that number going to lie? Because Spot Track has his market value at 14 million. Now, is that going to be a little bit lower because of the injury, or is that right at about what he probably would get? That's a question that anyone can answer in the comments because, do I want to pay 14 million for Will Fries? I'll tell you what, if he's one of the few guys that I'm willing to potentially hear an argument for it, because you saw, Cody, how bad the right guard position has been for the Indianapolis Colts when he wasn't in there. We saw it was terrible. It was horrendous. When Will Fries hasn't been the right guard for the Indianapolis Colts, it has been a disaster. And it would be nice just to kind of keep Will Fries in that spot because you feel very comfortable that he would continue to be a good guard for you. Ultimately, it's just going to depend on the price, and I don't know how much he's going to want.
Well, then there's the argument to be made. Are you going to pay two guards really a good amount of money in your offensive line? I mean, Derek, in comparison to center, left tackle, like guards are probably the least important position on there, like honestly. So is it worth, that's the argument against, as good as Will Fries is it worth investing another good amount of money in your cap space into your offensive line? Right. And I think that's the big thing you would have to do. I think in order to make this work, Derek, you're going to have to do something you don't want to do, but you might have to do. you're going to have to move off of a guy like Braden Smith because he's making a lot of money. And we were talking about this off air. I was like, it would be Chris Ballard to stick with Braden Smith, who knows what his future is going to be. Say he retires like next year. You keep him around, he retires next year. Then you don't have an answer at right tackle or right guard. That would be Chris Ballard for you right there. But I think it would make a lot of sense because you already do have Matt Gonsalves there to let that happen and then re-sign Will Fries. And then all of a sudden, your offensive line got, yes, a little less experienced, but you bring back Will Fries. You have two young guys in Bordolini and Matt Gonsalves, and you have Will Fries in there who, was an ascending player last year. So I think that would make a lot of sense there to kind of go the youth movement a little bit more, because if you do pay Will Fries, you'd only have two offensive linemen that are not on, their rookie deals at that point, right? It'd be Will Fries and Quentin Nelson, and then everybody else would be on their rookie deals. Ryman is coming up, but he'd still be on his rookie deal still. And obviously your two guys on the right side would still be, entering year 2 of their rookie deals. So that would make some sense from that standpoint. And I still think you would have more cap space than if you stuck with Braden Smith and you let Will Fries walk, right? So that would make some sense there. And like you said, Will Fries, outside of this injury, he's been healthy. He's been on the field. So, yeah, I think it'd make too much sense for the Indianapolis Colts to go that route. And that's kind of why we're in our cynicalness. We're kind of like, that's exactly why Ballard won't do it, because he doesn't do things that make sense sometimes. So, but yeah, I think if Will Fries is a guy that the Indianapolis Colts deem as a priority, I think he should be probably the guy they focus the most out of any of their internal free agents to bring back, because he's the youngest. He's typically been the most available, and he's an ascending player. So, yeah, we'll have to see how that looks, guys. But curious what your thoughts would be here on Will Fries. Would you like to see the Indianapolis Colts retain the 26-year-old guard or not? Let us know all those things in the comments down below. But, guys, that'll do it for this one. Thank you so much for tuning in. We greatly appreciate it. And, guys, free agency is coming up, so we're going to see what the Indianapolis Colts do with their internal free agents. But let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. That'll do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, guys, go Colts.